Hi guys, I just wanted to put a disclaimer here before we begin. I just want to gently share that I'm not a licensed medical professional or mental health expert. Everything we talk about during Mental Health Monday comes from my own research, personal experiences, and perspectives, as well as thoughts and insights from any guests I have on. This space is meant to be supportive, open, and informative, but it isn't a substitute for professional advice or care. If you're going through something or need deeper support, I truly encourage you to reach out to a qualified mental health professional. You deserve to be supported in the best way possible. Hi, how's everybody? Happy Monday. I hope everybody's doing really well. Um, so, I wanted to share a few things today. A little bit of a bit my life, but thank you. I'm doing a little bit of some adjustments. Hello, everyone. Just so you know, guys, I don't know, for those of you that don't know, I'm on a quadruple antibiotic treatment right now. So I'm not like 100% myself. But so you can bear with me. But I see here we have Flawless, we have Lady Debbie, Haas, Rubber Eagle, Chaos McDuck, we have Dominique Kikok. Hello. We have Jimmy. I hope I'm not missing anyone. Let me go. Cassie's here too. Dave. How are you guys doing? Radio Mercy, thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate it. WBDs, 100%. Yeah, so, okay, so I'm going to start talking a little bit about why I'm on antibiotics, but very little. I don't want to focus too much on that. So, we all have we all have traumas that we have been through childhood and so on, and we know it can be different for everybody, right? I went through quite a bit as a child. I don't think any child should go through the stuff I went through. I don't make myself a victim or anything like that, but I am aware of some of the things that some of my conditions. So I got diagnosed when I was 10 with chronic gastritis. I was feeling a lot of stomach pain, and I had a test done, and hi, Master Wrong. Oh, it isn't. It keeps screwing up. I know. I don't know. I think I'll just, yeah. It's not gonna be perfect, guys. It's been a heck of a week for me. So it's just I'm gonna do what I can here. I think that's gonna be it right there. So hi, Jember. How are you doing? Thank you. I appreciate it. It keeps changing. Yeah. I'm good, Master Wrong. I'm healing. I'm like halfway through my treatment now. So, yeah, so when I was young, I got diagnosed with gastritis, chronic gastritis by then. It was pretty bad. And so I've been treating this since I was little. Naturally, the kale smoothie and cabbage smoothie became a regular part of my life, my everyday life, to help heal my stomach, and it's going good. But the thing is, it's the gastritis I have is called a stress gastritis. It's caused by stress. So whenever this is what stress does to you. We talked about this here before, right? And so anytime there's a lot of stress, it gets bad. I felt that when I got divorced. I felt that at the beginning of opening my restaurant, it flared up. So you have to be like extra careful. You have to really be mindful of keeping low stress levels. And streaming did a little bit of that to me, but not from the beginning. It's been like since November my stomach situation started, kind of worsening, and like I had some signs of it coming back in November, and it's been gradually getting worse and worse and worse, right? I think I didn't address some of the stressors that were happening in my life, and so I got to the point that they rushed me to an endoscopy, and they took some samples, some biopsies from my stomach, and I have an infection going on in there, and so I'm on this thing to fix it, right? The other thing that really flared up my gastritis huge, not just gastritis but my anxiety, is when um, back in 2020 I I had to. I think I talked about this already. I Not everything, but very little detail about when I ran away from a partner I was with, um, because of emotional abuse. So that is a little bit of the topic we're gonna talk about today. Sorry, these medications make me very burpy. Um, so we're gonna talk about a little bit of this today, and we're gonna talk a lot about us stop caring what's not us to fix, right? Because we all have problems, but we should never put our problems on somebody else, and that's a really important thing. Um, and I'm sorry if I'm not paying attention to the chat, like as much. Again, it's just bear with me. So um, I've hi hi Frederick, hi. Um, so it's very important for me to have mental health Mondays, and it's the one stream that I'm never gonna cancel. Today I thought of doing this stream from my bed on my laptop in my comfortable little place, but I decided to just push through and do what I usually do, have that connection with you guys, and so I decided to just do this. Um, so Red Rook, Lady Debbie. So I wrote a script a little bit so I can follow and I won't forget anything. And is the music too loud? It's kind of loud for me. Let me know if the music is too loud, the background little, calming music. Let me know. Does it sound okay to you guys, or is it too loud? How is it? Not too loud for you? Okay, perfect. Because I wanted to have a little, sorry, something in the background to keep, peace and like good feelings and stuff. So I want to start today talking about something. I don't know if you guys know who Jay Shetty is. Chill Guy Rich. Oh, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. This is actually a very important topic for me. But thank you so much, Chill Guy Rich. I'm sorry not feeling well. I hope you work on yourself to feel better. I'm also feeling unwell. Like I said before, I'm on 4 antibiotics to treat an stomach infection, and they make me feel really shitty. But I'm drinking some coffee, and we're gonna pull it through. Oh, Sugar Rich, you just resubbed. I didn't even realize. See, it makes my mind really foggy. So, bear with me. Thank you so much for resubbing. You've been. Where is it? Nice. Thank you. So let's go. Hello, Robin. Hello, Jimberwookie. So I wanted to start by. So I don't know if you guys know who Jay Shetty is. Thank you again, Sugar Rich, for showing up, and um, even if you're unwell, I appreciate it. So I want to talk about. I wanted to. Let me bring this up a bit because it's kind of hard to see the chat from the bottom of the page. I'll bring the page a little bit up higher. Yes, feel well. So I don't know if you guys know who Jay Shetty is. He has a podcast and he's quite fantastic. So I stole one of his introductions, stole, um, to send it to you guys. By the way, every video that I show here, I do post on the mental health area of Shenanigans. So you're all welcome to go and check it out for yourself if you want to watch it again. And I will actually put the whole this whole video from Jay Shetty. It's about a 30-minute video from Jay Shetty, but it starts with him saying this: you are not responsible for someone's insecurity. You can't fix what's broken inside them. That's their work. You're not responsible for their unrealistic expectations. You decide your limits, not their impossible standards. You're not responsible for how they project their anger. Their reaction is not your fault. And don't hold on to guilt that isn't yours. Hello. My nose is really itchy because my truck was all yellow. It's full of pollen, and my is going. But so if you needed to hear that today, if you've been into a situation like that, you're not alone. Because I think a lot of us, especially the ones with big hearts, we carry way more than we're ever meant to carry. We carry other people's emotions. We carry expectations. We carry pressure. We carry guilt, even when we didn't do anything wrong, right? I don't know if anyone can relate to this. But over time, that weight starts to build up, and it gets really heavy. It gets exhausting. And sometimes it starts to feel like you're slowly losing yourself under it. So today, I just want this to be a reminder. You do not have to carry what is not yours to fix. So, one of the things is you're not responsible for other people's feelings. And this is really important. And so, I want to say this really carefully. I'm trying to reach out at the same time to make sure I don't ignore anybody. This does not mean you stop caring. This does not mean you start being cold. You get cold to whoever. It doesn't mean you get harsh or selfish. It just means there's a difference between being supportive and feeling responsible for someone else's emotion. You can be kind and someone may still feel hurt. You can explain yourself really clear and someone may still misunderstand you. You can show up with love and someone could still be upset because it might not be enough. That does not automatically mean you did something wrong. I think a lot of us spend so much time trying to say things perfectly, word things perfectly, text back perfectly, so nobody gets upset. And even then, people can still react the way they are going to react, and there's nothing you can do about that. Because their feelings are real, because they're still their feeling, but it's still their feelings. You can care, you can listen, and you can be super compassionate with someone, but you can't carry everyone's emotional world on your back. And when you do, you start losing touch with your own self. Their mood becomes your mood. Their stress becomes your stress. Their anger becomes your guilt. And that is such a heavy way to live. So yes, you can care really deeply about somebody, but don't confuse caring with caring, right? So support is healthy. Taking ownership of everyone's emotion is not. So the other thing is, we're not responsible for how people see you. No matter how genuine you are, you cannot control how another person sees you, because people see you through their own lens, their own past, their own traumas, their own insecurities and beliefs. So if you spend your life trying to manage everyone's opinion people have of you, you are going to feel exhausted, right? You start editing yourself constantly, overthinking everything you say, trying to sound just right and trying to just look right all the time. And after a while, you stop feeling like yourself. You just start losing yourself. And that part really hurts, because when you leave to be understood by everybody, you eventually and most likely will lose connection with who you really are. Not everyone is going to get you. Not everyone is going to see your heart right away. Not everyone is going to understand your intentions. And that doesn't make your truth any less real. Yes, becoming a performative version of yourself. That's right. So you don't have to lose yourself to be accepted. Okay, so just keep remembering that. Also, we are not responsible for fixing people, and that's That's a big one for me. I think a lot of us can relate. Sorry. So we're not responsible for fixing people, because when you love someone, you want to help them, right? You want to help them feel better. You want to find the right words, the right advice, the right solution. I don't even say it as I'm very prompt because I've done that before where I didn't want to hurt exactly, and then we end up hurting ourselves. So there's a fine line there, right? It's it's okay to give yourself to a certain point, and then there's a fine line where you start losing yourself. So you have to be careful, right? So that's where the big change is. There's a big difference between supporting someone and trying to save them. You can encourage someone, right? Be there for them. You can remind them that they do matter and that's important too. And you can offer them some wisdom if they're open for it, right? Because they're not always open for it. But you can't do their healing for them, right? You can't force someone to change. You can't force someone to grow. You can't force self-awareness on someone. So, and you cannot love someone so much in the hopes that one day they'll be ready to do the work. That part has to come from them. Yeah, I try to fix someone, but fixing them can result in you breaking yourself, and then they just leave because you're the broke. Exactly. Very truth. And sorry, I'm burping a lot because of the antibiotics. They really do that to me. I'm sorry. That's another topic that I'm going to separate for another mental health Monday. I'm going to focus on that whole thing that you're the broker one. And I'm going to use a word that it's used way too much out there, but that's called gaslighting right there. So, and we're going to be talking about that topic at some point. Not enable people to continue with their behaviors. I know, but you know what, Jemper? Sometimes it is so subtle that you don't even know you enabling them, you know? And that's when, when I was with my ex, it was so subtle. It was so subtle that out of the sudden it was like, whoa, what happened? Like, what did I do? How did this get this way? Where did it come from? Like, how did it get this bad? Right? It can be subtle depending on how it happens, right? And you have to always stand up for yourself. Hosami, guapa. Thank you for stopping by. So like I said, the healing part has to come from them. You can't do it, right? And I know that it can be painful because sometimes we see so much potential in the people we love. We see how they could be. We see their good side. We see that what's possible for them if they do take the time to do the healing. But potential is not the same thing as effort. There's the potential and then the effort. The potential we see, and then the effort, that's their job to do, right? So someone healing is not your job just because you care. Okay, sometimes we pour everything into trying to rescue someone, and all the work we're putting into will leave us completely drained. We start neglecting our own selves, our own peace, our own rest, and our own healing, right? Because we're so focused on someone else finally getting it. And sometimes the healthiest thing to say is, I care about you, but it's not mine to fix. And that's not cold. That's not cruel. It's not selfish. That's honest. And sometimes honesty is healthier than over-functioning for somebody else. Do you get me? Can you understand? You can love people and still let their healing be their responsibility. Okay? The other thing is, we're not responsible for meeting everyone's expectations. A lot of pressure in life comes from expectations. Family expectations, relationship expectations, there's cultural expectations, job, career expectations, and even like unspoken expectations, like who you should be, what you should want, what your life should look like by now. And it's so easy to get pulled into all of that, right? I feel horrible being like that, though. I feel an urge to fix broken things, especially if I love them. I get it 100%. I'm with you. I really am. If you overhelp, then they won't learn to cope. No, that they won't. They won't have room to do their own job, right? So when we get pulled into that, to start living for approval, to start chasing what makes other people comfortable, to start making choices based on what will disappoint people the least. But here's the truth, okay? So you can spend your whole life trying to meet everyone's expectations and still not be enough. It still won't be enough. It won't be enough. Someone will always want something different. Someone will always have another opinion or think you should be doing something completely different. Disappointment will happen at some point, okay? But don't let the person who that you disappoint most be you. Cloudy. Again, don't let the person you disappoint the most be you, okay? Because that... Oh, I'm sorry, I have tried to keep up for chat. The worst is the inner feeling that continues to make you not leave them because you deep down think they need your help. Oh my gosh, Cassie. Bingo, 100%. So true. So true, okay? I'm just trying to see where I am. Okay, I'm just gonna remind everybody, I said that at the beginning. My brain is a little foggy because I'm on 4 different antibiotics and 2 other medications, so I'm trying to... Okay? I help as much as I can, but I put boundaries also because not all the time I can help them. I have also... My own also, exactly. 100%. To be honest, I don't know what I need anymore. I'm always focused on other people. I tend to not have time for myself until recently when I started stepping back and being more a little boost instead of my answer. Okay, Menu. Okay, so stick around because after I'm done talking about this little thing, I'm gonna actually show a video that will be very helpful to you, okay? And it will help you understand a lot of the way you're feeling right now. And again, this is a big topic. I'm breaking down into this stream, but I am going to continue on another stream, not next week because we have Barbara coming over next week to talk about gut and brain relations. It was supposed to be today, but my antibiotics were kicking my butt, so we're postponed for next Monday. But this is a very important topic because a lot of people get trapped into these cycles. And so it's important, and I'm going to continue this. And stick around because I am going to show a couple of videos that are important. And it will talk a little bit about toxic people, okay? And then the signs and what you do when you set boundaries, what happens when you set boundaries. So stick around, okay? So like I said, disappointment will happen at some point. And very important, again, I'm going to touch on this again. Don't let the person you disappoint the most be you, okay? Because that's what happens when you leave too much for everybody else. We lose our own voice, our own needs, and our own direction, okay? And then one day we look around and realize we build a life that looks good from the outside, but doesn't look or feel very true on the inside. That's why you need to ask yourself, what do I want? What actually matters to me? What am I doing out of love? And what am I doing out of guilt? Okay? Oh boy, do I know about toxic people, especially in recent days. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's hard. It's very hard. It can be very hard. It can be very you can feel pretty stuck. I understand. Okay? So those questions are really important, right? So again, I'm going to repeat the question. Sushi, Anti-Bubbles, hello. What am I doing out of love and what am I doing out of guilt, right? So these questions are really important because the goal is not to live a life that only looks right to other people. The goal is to live a life that feels honest to you, okay? You are not here to spend your whole life proving yourself by becoming who everyone expected of you, okay? And that includes family, bosses, cultural things like religion and anything else, you gotta be true to yourself. Okay. Another thing is you're not responsible on how other people see you. Okay, because so many people take it to heart the way people treat them. If someone is distant, they think, what did I do wrong? If someone is rude, they think, was I not enough? If someone is dismissive, they think, maybe I deserve that. But really, how someone treats you stays more about them than it does about you. And their behavior may be coming from their own pain, their stress and their lack of maturity, or past traumas. That's not an excuse for hurtful actions, though. But you need to stop making every painful reaction into proof that something's wrong with you. You are not unworthy because someone treated you without care. Sorry, anti-bubbles. Welcome in, anti-bubbles. It's such a great topic. I think I appreciate bringing this up too. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, it's important. It's very important. 100%. So you're not unworthy because someone treated you without care. Yes. You are not unlovable because someone failed to love you well. And you're not the problem just because someone projected their hurts and traumas onto you. Sometimes what you're receiving from someone is not what you deserve. It's just what they're carrying. And that's a huge difference that you have to be aware of, right? Sometimes it's just a reflection of where the person is emotionally. And that's super important to understand so that you can realize that you're not a bad person, okay? And the best and most healthy response is to not self-blame. Sometimes it's boundary. Importantly, boundary. So after all this talk, what are you responsible for? You are responsible for your own choices, your boundaries, your healing, your honesty, your growth, and your peace. You are responsible for how you care for yourself and how you show up for yourself. And that's enough. It's not selfish. Even if some people think it is and try to convince you it is not selfish. You are responsible. You are not responsible for someone's traumas. You are not responsible for someone else's happiness. And you are not responsible for making everyone understand you, because they won't. Not everybody will. Everyone is different and we all go through our own things. We are allowed to let go of guilt that was never yours. You don't have to carry other people's weight. You're allowed to stop explaining yourself to everyone. You are allowed to choose peace. And for some of you, that could be healing this week, okay? Not doing more or proving more or rescuing more. Just putting some of the weight down to make things a little lighter, okay? And so I'm gonna like shift the subject a little bit. Kind of goes into your previous Mental Health Monday about controlling what you can control or not. Exactly, 100%. It's important, and everything's correlated in a certain way, right? So we're gonna shift in something a little deeper, but also a little heavier, okay? Because unhealthy relationships don't usually just start in a negative way, okay? They start feeling amazing, exciting, or even like perfect. The butterfly in your stomach feeling that you have when you meet, either a lover or a friend that's like, oh my gosh, this person's gonna be my bestie and they're so cool. I really resonate with them. So it starts that way. And that's what makes it so confusing when things starts to change. So I want to talk what can happen when you set boundaries in toxic relationships. Actually, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to show a video about it. And so many people end up questioning themselves, instead of the situation. So you question yourself. You think you're going crazy instead of questioning the situation that you're in, right? And sometimes, like, when you set boundaries with toxic people, and and I call it toxic, okay? This is another word that is put out there a lot. But to me, when people act this way, when you set some boundaries, that means that's a little toxic, I don't think there's another way to say, but you understand the reactions and the toxicity. So, and this hits really close to home. If this hits really close to home to you, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to understand that this is not about blame. It's just about understanding and protecting yourself and learning how to protect yourself, okay? So, yeah, this is really important for me. And I think it's important for everybody, honestly. And so I'm gonna work on putting this video. Oh shoot. Okay, no, I did it. Okay, that's fine. I stopped the music because I'm gonna put the video. Okay. So so we're gonna have two of them actually. Let me just open this in a new tab here really quick. I'm gonna start with a really short one. Oh, oopsie, oopsie. So I'm gonna start with the 4-minute video, and then I'm gonna transition into a little bit of a longer video. Hi Jaxie, welcome in. I will be on the chat checking on you guys, and see if you resonate with it, okay? Or if you have been on that situation or not. I'm gonna turn the volume quite up on this. So let's have a look here. Does that work? It works. Yes, I'm gonna take my camera away now, and I'm going to be putting my little gecko, not gecko, it's a little meditating frog. Okay, enjoy guys.
Walked away from someone only to realize that's when things got worse. Have you ever finally walked from someone only to realize? Have you ever finally walked away from someone only to realize that's when things got worse? Not better, not peaceful, worse. Suddenly, they changed. Their behavior shifted, and somehow, you became the villain. If that sounds familiar, there's a high chance you didn't just leave a person. You escaped a toxic one, and here's the truth most people don't realize. When toxic people lose control over you, they don't give up. They switch strategies. In this video, we're going to break down 5 things toxic people do when you finally walk away. And number 4 is the one that pulls most people back in without them even realizing it. The moment you leave, they don't chase you with love. They chase you with guilt. They'll say things like, "After everything I've done for you, you're just going to leave like that? You've changed." But here's what's really happening. You didn't change. You woke up. And to them, that's dangerous, because the moment you stop feeling guilty is the moment they lose control. So they'll do everything they can to make you question your decision, because doubt is their doorway back into your life. If guilt doesn't work, they level up. Now suddenly, they're the victim. They tell people their version of the story, a version where they're hurt, and you're the problem. And the scary part? It sounds believable, because toxic people don't always lie. They just leave out the parts that expose them. They twist reality just enough to make themselves look innocent. And if you're not careful, you might even start believing it too. This is where things get confusing, because it looks like love. They suddenly become everything you ever wanted. More caring, more understanding, more present. They say things like, "I've changed. I can't live without you. I'll do anything to fix this." And for a moment, you hesitate, because a part of you wants to believe them. But here's the truth. This isn't change. It's a cycle. Because the moment you go back, everything resets. And most of the time, it gets worse. If you stay strong and don't go back, they won't just disappear. They'll just change tactics again. Now it becomes subtle, indirect, quiet attacks. Maybe it's passive-aggressive posts. Maybe it's talking behind your back. Maybe it's slowly turning people against you. Why? Because if they can't control you anymore, they'll try to control how others see you. It's their way of holding on to power, even after you've walked away. This one hurts the most. They move on, fast, almost like you never mattered. Like everything you had meant nothing. But don't misunderstand it. It's not healing. It's replacement. Because toxic people don't look for connection. They look for control. And when they lose one source, they immediately search for another. So no, you weren't replaceable. You were just no longer available to control. So if you've experienced this, you need to hear this clearly. You didn't lose them. You found yourself. And yes, it hurts. Yes, you'll question your decision. Yes, you'll miss them sometimes. But remember this. The right person will never make you feel small, just to feel powerful. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. And staying away? That's self-respect. So if you're in that place right now, don't go back to what broke you, because healing doesn't happen where the damage began.
Okay, so yeah, period, 100%, right? So yeah, that was a short, very informative video. This one here will go a little bit more into depth about some people, what some people do after you set boundaries and how do you see the toxicity in it, right? So I hope you enjoyed this and that you can take something good from it. There we go.
The moment you set a boundary, you find out who is benefiting from you having none. That is the part nobody tells you. Sometimes the boundary is not what breaks the relationship, it just exposes what the relationship was built on. If you have ever said no, asked for space, stopped explaining, or simply became less available, and suddenly the other person changed, this is for you. Because that shift was not random, it was information. And if you keep missing what it means, you will keep blaming yourself for their reaction. I learned this the hard way, not from books, from the strange silence after I finally spoke clearly, from the cold tone, from the guilt, from the fake confusion, from watching people act wounded the second they lost easy access to me. So let's make this simple. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what toxic people do after you set a boundary, what their backlash really means, and how to protect your peace without turning your life into a courtroom. The first thing toxic people often do is act shocked by a boundary they understood perfectly well. They suddenly become confused. They say things like, I was just trying to help, or you're taking this the wrong way, or the classic, wow, I can't even talk to you anymore. Notice what is happening. They are not addressing the limit. They are attacking your right to have one. A healthy person may not love every boundary, but they can handle one. They might ask a question. They might need a minute. They might even feel disappointed. But they do not act like your limit is abuse. Toxic people do, because to them, your boundary is not a preference. It is a threat to their access, control, or leverage. Then comes guilt. This is one of their favorite moves. A parent says, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. A boss says, I guess I just can't count on you like I thought. A friend says, you've changed. What they mean is not always what they say. Guilt trips often mean lost access. Your boundary is costing them something they felt entitled to. Your time, your attention, your emotional labor, your availability, your silence. And instead of adjusting, they try to make the boundary feel immoral. That way, you abandon it for them. This is where a lot of people collapse. Not because the boundary was wrong. Because the guilt feels old. It hits the part of you that was trained to keep the peace, to prove you're good, to avoid being called selfish. That is why setting a boundary can feel less like confidence and more like withdrawal. You are not only dealing with their reaction, you are dealing with your conditioning. Then, toxic people test the boundary. They rarely respect it the first time. They poke it, they circle it, they pretend not to hear it. You say, I'm not available after work hours. Then your boss texts at 9:47 p.m. with, quick one. You say, I'm not discussing my dating life. Then your coworker smiles and says, I'm just curious. You say, please call before coming over. Then a family member shows up anyway and acts offended that you're not thrilled. This matters, because a boundary is not what you say once. It is what you enforce consistently after they test it. And toxic people count on inconsistency. They count on your discomfort. They count on the fact that many good people crack on the second or third push. That is why some of your strongest words need to be short. That doesn't work for me. I'm not discussing this. I already answered that. My answer is the same. I'm available during work hours. No, not a paragraph, not a defense speech, not a legal brief, just clarity. Then comes the emotional punishment. This is where people really start doubting themselves. A toxic person may go cold. They may withdraw affection. They may stop inviting you. They may suddenly become distant, curt, or icy. And if you don't understand the pattern, you think, maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I hurt them. Maybe I should reach out and smooth it over. Be careful here. Silent treatment and healthy space are not the same thing. Healthy space is used to regulate. Manipulative silence is used to punish. The difference is intent. One creates room. The other creates anxiety. One says, I need time. The other says, you will feel this until you come back into line. So if someone goes cold every time you set a limit, that coldness is not always pain. Sometimes it is control and a quieter outfit. Then there is the reversal. This is the move where they become the victim because they lost access to you. You say, don't raise your voice at me. Now, suddenly, you are the cruel one. You say, please don't share my business with the family. Now they are walking on eggshells. You stop answering late-night calls from an ex. Now you are heartless. This is not confusion, it is image protection. When private control starts failing, some toxic people switch to public innocence, and that leads to the next thing they do. They start managing your reputation. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it is a smear campaign. Sometimes it is more subtle. They tell people you're distant, difficult, sensitive, ungrateful, hard to talk to. A boss frames you as not a team player after you stop taking on everyone else's work. A parent tells relatives you become cold since you started setting boundaries. A fake friend tells mutuals you're acting weird now that you have new priorities. Listen carefully. Smear campaigns often mean image control after private control fails. They could not move you directly, so now they try to shape how others see you. Why? Because if they can make you look unreasonable, they don't have to face what you finally saw clearly. This is where many people make a huge mistake. They over-explain. They start collecting evidence. They write long messages. They defend themselves to everyone. And I understand why. When somebody twists your character, your nervous system wants relief. It wants the record corrected. But over-explaining is often exactly where toxic people want you, because every extra word gives them more material, more openings, more screenshots, more phrases to distort. Sometimes the strongest move is to say less. Pause. Keep your tone flat. Do not rescue the silence. Do not rush to soften your no. If you already stated the boundary, repeating it calmly is stronger than improving it emotionally. My answer is the same. That's not up for discussion. I'm not going back and forth about this. That calmness does something powerful. It stops feeding the dynamic. Now here is the part most people miss. Toxic people do not only react to the boundary itself, they react to the new version of you it reveals. The version they cannot interrupt so easily. The version that no longer explains every choice. The version that can survive being misunderstood. That version scares people who relied on your softness without respecting it, because a lot of toxic dynamics are built on one silent agreement. You keep absorbing. They keep taking. Once you stop absorbing, the whole system shakes. That is why the backlash can feel so intense. You are not just changing a habit. You are disrupting a role, and roles in toxic systems are defended hard, especially in families. If you were the peacekeeper, the fixer, the available one, the one who always took the joke, the one who stayed on the phone, the one who said yes to avoid drama, then your boundary is not seen as one small change. It is seen as betrayal of the role they assigned you. That is why a simple sentence can trigger such a big reaction. Not this time. That is not just a refusal. In the wrong system, that sounds like rebellion. Here's another nuance that matters. Not every difficult person is toxic. Some people are immature. Some are stressed. Some have poor communication. Some handle disappointment badly. That does not automatically make them toxic. The real pattern is what happens when your limit stays in place. A healthy but imperfect person can adjust. A toxic person keeps escalating because the issue was never the misunderstanding. The issue was the loss of control. And not every situation requires confrontation. Some situations require strategy. If you are dealing with a toxic boss, you may need documentation more than emotional honesty. If you are dealing with a manipulative parent you cannot fully avoid, you may need shorter visits, less personal information, and fewer emotional entry points. If you are dealing with a fake friend, you may not need a dramatic speech at all. You may just need distance. A boundary is not control. That matters. You are not forcing them to become respectful. You are deciding what you will participate in. You are deciding what access costs now. That is why saying, "I'm leaving if you keep speaking to me like that," is a boundary. Saying, "You are never allowed to feel upset," is control. One protects your space. The other tries to run theirs. Knowing that difference will keep you clear. And clarity is deadly to manipulation. Because manipulators thrive in fog. They want you confused about what happened, confused about what you feel, confused about what you are overreacting. Confused people are easier to manage. Clear people are not. That is also why toxic people love bait. They want the long text, the emotional reaction, the defensive paragraph, the apology you were never supposed to owe. They provoke, then study your response. They gather information through pressure, especially the ones who act concerned. They ask how you're doing, not to support you, but to find out where your weak spot still is. They ask personal questions after you pulled away. They suddenly seem warm, interested, reflective. But watch the pattern. If interest appears only after access is threatened, it may not be care. It may be a retrieval attempt. And this is where your nonverbal weapons matter most. Pause before answering. Let the question hang. Give less than they are fishing for. Keep your face relaxed. Keep your tone neutral. You do not have to fill every silence they create. Silence stops being scary when you realize some people use your discomfort with it as a leash. Now let's talk about the strongest insight. The worst thing toxic people do after you set a boundary is make you feel like the problem for noticing the problem. That is the deepest trick. Not the anger, not the coldness, not the gossip, the self-doubt. The part where you sit alone thinking maybe I was too harsh, too sensitive, too unforgiving, too distant, too dramatic. Because once you distrust your own perception, they do not need to overpower you. You will override yourself for them. That is the real win they are after. Internal access, a voice inside your own mind that sounds like them. That is why boundaries are not just communication. They are self-respect in action. They teach your body that your discomfort matters, your limits matter, your peace is not something you earn by being endlessly accommodating. And yes, some people will leave when you stop being easy to use. Let them tell on themselves. Anyone who only likes you without boundaries does not actually like you. They like your convenience. That truth hurts, but it also frees you. Because once you see the pattern, you stop chasing closeness with people who only felt close when you were unprotected. You stop confusing access with love. You stop confusing guilt with responsibility. You stop confusing their disappointment with your wrongdoing. And you become much harder to manipulate. Not because you become cold, because you become clear. Clear is calm. Clear does not overprove. Clear does not beg to be understood by committed misinterpreters. Clear says what it means and lets the backlash reveal the rest. So if someone got angry when you asked for basic respect, that anger told you something. If they guilt-tripped you, that guilt told you something. If they went silent, gossiped, fished for information, played confused, or acted like the victim after losing access to you, all of that told you something. The boundary did not create their character. It revealed it. And if this hit close, take one boundary you've been weakening just to keep the peace and return to it without the extra explanation. If you want, tell me in the comments which reaction you've seen the most after setting a boundary. And if you're building that quieter kind of strength, stay here. Protecting your peace is not rude. It is overdue.
And that's the next video we're gonna watch. Into bubbles, yes. The thing is, not everybody is wired the same way on our brain, right? So sometimes it can be just a trait, sometimes it can become a diagnose too, right? You like that one? It's important. It's very fast paced but very informative. That channel is actually really good. I was spent quite a long time looking at some of them, and a lot of them are related and go into a lot of details into this kind of traits and toxic and all that. And abuse, some stuff about abuse too. So but I was trying to carefully choose the one that was good for today. There was another one also. Yes, I like how they explain different situations. Exactly, not just one, but a whole bunch of different situations, right? And it's quieter. Okay. Oh, I am quieter. I did turn my mic down. Yeah, there you go. I was gonna turn my mic down. I decided to just mute it, and then yeah. But now I think it's high. I think I'm gonna switch back my voice thing. And I do have a new mic coming in tomorrow, actually. Is it better now? Yeah. So there is another video that is called if you drained after every conversation, watch this. But I believe that Well, sometimes you can feel dream after a bunch of conversations, but then you realize how to acknowledge or how to spot when it's actually toxicity, right? So, yeah, and that's really important. And so I wanted to actually, you know what? I think I might play that video because I think it's important too. It's the same channel, but we're gonna do 7 signs you're healing from trauma, even if it doesn't feel like it, because sometimes healing can be painful, right? Um, and that's a result from healing from, it can be from anything, really. So, um, maybe I'll just jump into that. And if you guys have any questions, sorry, my brain is not the same, like I said. And there is a talk that I started writing, but I couldn't finish because I wanted to get more detailed into it. I started writing a little paper about when you feel like you were tricked into a relationship, when things were really subtle, and then at the beginning everything was great, and the person was super loving, charming, and affectionate, and then how it felt so real. I felt so safe, and it felt like you finally found a good friend, or the right job with a bright boss, or the right, relationship, whatever that is. Um, and you found people that truly see you. You feel like you found your place, right? But then when things change, when the relationship usually gets more serious, that's for like loving relationship, which was my case with my ex, that like my last ex. I've been single for 6 years now. Um, so once you get serious, and then when you move in together, and then when you get emotionally invested into it, and then it becomes really hard to leave, right? And I think Anti Bubbles can probably relate to this, right? It was like your partner completely flipped, right? That warmth completely disappeared. The patient is gone, and then the kindness that they had for you started slowly fading away, right? And so, and then when you're in that position, you feel very confused. You feel like you feel criticized, you feel manipulated, disrespected, and you feel a lot of pain, right? And if it was only a few months and sometimes years of trying to sense all of it, trying to fix it, trying to survive, that you finally step back and think, I think my I think my partner might be a bit toxic, or it might have like narcissistic traits, or I think this person is a little bit abusive to me. And I have been in a relationship, like I said, with those traits, and I've talked about here a little bit. It was a whole roller coaster. Everything was amazing, and then as soon as we bought a house together, as soon as I invested everything I had, the patterns completely changed, right? And when all those patterns changed and things become very real for me, I knew that I had to leave that situation somehow, you know. But as soon as you leave, and this is a very broad, this is about when you set boundary, but when you leave, things can get really, really, really bad, right? And that's why a lot of people don't leave. That's why, oh, Octavia, thank you so much. Greetings, Earthling. Hello to Dopden. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow, Octavia. So sometimes, like in my situation, and I'm not gonna go into detail. So everything got a lot worse, a lot worse than I anticipated. It got very out of hand, which is why I decided to just stay on my own, focus on my own mental health and well-being, work on myself, and work on my growth from that experience and learning about what I went through. And that's when I started doing all kinds of researches, and eventually I'm going to be talking about this with more depth, and I'm going to be showing some studies from a psychiatrist I follow on YouTube called Dr. Romney. She You appeared on my recommended. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. I'm so happy. Hello, guys. I'm here. Thank you to Dope Dan. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So she specializes in different types of narcissistic traits. And she's a psychiatrist, so she knows all of it, and she explains in very depth into everything, the types of these traits, the types when it's actually a diagnose, and all that, right? So um, so I want to talk about how you recognize early signs and what happens when you start feeling unsafe, and how they can sense when you're feeling unsafe. And they can. It's pretty crazy how they react to it when you're feeling unsafe, and because you change. You're not a fake person, right? Especially if you're an empath. It's hard to, you can't fake it. You're very genuine usually. So I did a lot of research in the world early warning signs, like things people wish they had noticed sooner, the things they wish someone had explained to them before everything got into this slippery slope. Before they got trapped. I'm just looking at the lurking while working. Thank you so much, Turk. Thank you, Turk. I appreciate it. Um, and my hope in this is to that this help anybody, like even if it's just one person. Gotcha, tabbed up. I'm at work and looking to. Thank you so much, Dopidan. I appreciate very much. So, like I said, like even if it helps one person, if this information gets out there and it helps one person, it's important to me, because if we recognize these patterns really early, we have much better chance of protecting ourselves before the damage gets really, really deep, right? And I know that some of you guys have been through this. I'm close friends with some of you guys, and now Auntie Bubbles, I hear what you're saying, So, and I wanted to say that I'm really sorry, like I said earlier about that, because we don't deserve abuse, we don't deserve to be mistreated, right? And if you're a trusting, loving, loyal, hopeful, helpful patient, that does not make this your fault, right? And this is something that it's really hard to grasp, because a lot of times we feel guilty because we got so conditioned that we feel guilty. We feel, oh my gosh, I did that. I was too much this. I was too that. I didn't set boundaries. So it's not your fault, okay? It's not about blaming victims. This is not about blame. It's about helping us all feel empowered, and it's about education and clarity. Okay, this is about learning how to protect your peace and all of that. So yeah. So like I said before, with the toxic word, with the gaslighting word, there's also the narcissistic word is used too much there. So you can't, it's very hard. You have to, because there's traits and there's diagnose, and so you have to be really careful when you talk about that, because we throw the word narcissist around a lot these days, and sometimes we use it in a general way too, right? We used to describe a selfish person, a toxic person, immature people, and emotional unavailable people. And even if they can be an overlap, true narcissistic personality disorder is actually a clinical diagnosis, right? It's a diagnosis, and that really matters. It's very important to know that, because there's the narcissistic traits that do exist, and they show up pretty spread out. It's very spread out. Some people are self-centered. Oh shoot, I have someone at my door. Hold on. Come on, buddy. Come on. Get in. It was a delivery. The desk guard dogs, right? They're like, okay, there's someone at the door. Okay. Shigigaki, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Like I was saying before, where did I leave that? About how the trait does exist, right? And it's a really broad. It's spread out. It's everywhere. It's different. So some people are more self-centered, some people are more manipulative, and some people are emotionally unsafe without meeting all of those criteria, right? For them to be actually diagnosed. But there's a bigger point in all of this. It doesn't matter if someone has been diagnosed or not, whether they have the trait or not. The most important thing is still this: are you safe, right? Are you safe with them, right? Do they treat you with respect? Can you trust them? Can you be yourself? Can you speak honestly without being punished? Can you have constructive criticism, without the consequences of it? Or can you feel needs, have your own needs without feeling, getting shamed? And so all of those are important things to feel. Sometimes, think, can you have feelings without being mocked, dismissed, or like manipulated, right? Because if you can take one thing from this whole conversation, it should be the fact that the primary need in any relationship is safety, right? You can't have safety without trust, though, and that's an important point. And you cannot have safety without respect or kindness, right? And you definitely cannot have safety in a relationship built on control. That's what I wanted to listen to for in every red flag, that you see, right? There's a lot of them. One of them is power, control, when they're self-centered, and also when they're very dominant, right? Because a healthy relationship is not built on one person holding all the power, while the other person is like disappears, right? That's not love. It's not normal, and it's not something that you should ever have to tolerate, right? So I don't know if anybody here heard the term love bombing. So to me, that's a big red flag, okay? And sometimes it's hard to see, especially when you're busy and all that. So love bombing is so in the beginning, people can come across incredibly charming, very attentive, like really affectionate, very intense, super duper playful, and extremely magnetic. So you just feel that magnet because they're so charming and they're so nice and they're so kind. And that part is it makes things really confusing there, because their goals in the beginning is often not really love. Right, I'm gonna snooze. It's a goal. The goal actually is to access attachment and control. Because think about this, and this is why I'm 6 years single now, because real love takes time. And it's built really slowly, okay? Like my mom says, so my mom has this say that she said to me for a very long time. So my mom's analogy is that you only get to know someone really well when you have shared a kilo of salt with them, or a pound of salt, whatever it is. It can be a pound. In Brazil, it's kilo. That means like for the two of you to actually eat a pound of salt, like slowly putting in the food, and you go through the whole thing, by that point, you should know each other pretty good, right? You spend quite a bit of time together. So real love involves a lot of care, it involves a lot of consistency, respect, and emotional responsibility. Emotional responsibility is a big one. But love bombing is completely different, okay? So love bombing is when someone overwhelms you very early with attention. Going through tough times upon some... Oh, geez. Oh, that can happen too, right? Yes, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Sometimes you go through a pound of salt, and it's a tough, yeah, I get it. So with the love bombing is, right, Cyber Sassy, I guess you're familiar. Game Day Dave is also familiar with it. Is when someone is just giving you everything. They give you all the attention, the compliment, a ton of gifts, or that big talk about the future and how, they say stuff like, I've never felt this way before. You're different than anybody I've ever met before. You're everything I've been looking for. I would give you everything if you wanted me to. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I would give you everything if you wanted me to. Like, just say the word, right? I think you're my soulmate. I can be myself with you in any way. I could never be with somebody else. Or you meant it? What do you mean? Oh, okay. So, nothing? Oh, okay. And it's only been what, So when that happens, right? You they say all these things, and it's been what, like a week, 2 weeks, maybe like a month, and it's very flattering, right? It's exciting. It's kind of like a dream world, right? And a lot of people, especially people who deeply crave connection, like me, right? It feels like you've like finally someone sees me, and manipulative people really rush intimacy because they know they cannot keep their mask on forever, right? The faster they get you attached, the faster they can get you bonded, right? The faster you get emotionally invested into this, the harder it is for you to leave once it all changes, right? And that changes usually slowly at first. Yes. What if you're loving the idea of that person more than the person itself? Yeah, that's one of the things too, because and that's that we're gonna get there, because right now we're talking about the bubbly part, because eventually, like I said, the person's gonna become more jealous, and they're gonna start accusing you of things, and then they're gonna become really inconsistent, loving in 1 minute and cold the next, and that's when you start. No, it's okay, but that's exactly when you start to like the idea of that person could be, or what it was, because it was nice at the beginning, and then it shifted into, you know these things, right, they are inconsistent, like, and they're like super loving and then super cold, and then they could say things like, you're too sensitive, or you're too needy, you're overreacting, I thought you were smarter than that. And then devils were angels. Yeah, people always change. Yeah. Not necessarily. I think that there is healthy relationships out there, that can be, where people respect each other's boundaries and they can have adult conversation, and there are things that you can do to, you know have a healthy relationship. It's just about where you're at, and where your mind frame is. You have to have a lot of compatibility, I think, in certain things. So when they start saying all those things, right, is when the whole, like, get bored eventually. Oh no, yeah, I see where you're coming from. So then, no, it's okay. So then, you don't be sorry. It's okay. I like to make sure that I'm talking to chat too. So again, I another word that I don't that shouldn't come to lightly is, so that's when the gaslighting begins. I'm sorry about the burpees, my meds. So the gaslighting begins. They'll say, that's not what happened. You're remembering everything wrong, or like, you're twisting things, or now I see you have really bad memory. I see. But I'm gonna drink some water. But what they're doing there is not just denying reality, right? They are making you distrust yourself, right? They're making you distrust your own reality, because once you start second guessing your instincts, your memory, your emotions, and your judgment, it becomes much easier for them to control your story, right? I had it. It's not acid reflux. It's I'm taking stomach. I have a stomach. A stomach infection. I'm taking 4 antibiotics, and they do that. It's one of the side effects. Empress Lodge. I had some kefir. I had some yogurt. I'm having those all the time now. So when you're doing that, and you explain yourself, and you're second guessing all of that. Thank you. Yeah, I have another week of treatment, and I'm done. Right. So again, they control the story, and this is where a lot of kind, loving, genuine, and authentic people get trapped. Okay, because instead of overthinking what's wrong with them, they think, what's wrong with me, right? And if you grew up feeling like love or attention or proof had to be earned, then that dynamic feels familiar. Not healthy, just familiar, okay? And sometimes familiar feels safer than it should. It's the truth. It's the truth, so it's rough, but it's the truth. So instead of walking away, you start trying even harder, right? You start thinking, maybe I'll explain myself better. Maybe I'll be more patient. Or what if I stop bringing these things up? What if I can just get us back to how I was at the beginning, right? That version of them was a performance, though. It was designed to get you attached. All of that was a big show. Okay, so how do we protect ourselves from that? We have to slow right down. Okay, right down. No matter how exciting it feels, no matter how good the person looks, how it looks good on paper, no matter how badly you want it to be real, you gotta take your time. Okay, in anything, friendship, relationship with your boss, relationship with your coworkers, anything, family relationship. Actually, family relationship doesn't have anything to do with that, actually, because you're kind of born into that. So, because trust should be earned through consistency, not intensity, right? And that means watching and just checking it out, like see how they handle your boundaries, how they handle disappointments and your needs, right? Because that's important, because we all have needs, and sometimes people with those traits, they forget that you have needs. You're basically an accessory for them to feed into them what they lack, right? So it's important to see, are they respecting that? What are they like when they're frustrated? Do they yell? And you have to watch to see if they're still kind, even if they're not getting what they want from you at the time, right? And it's important to say this too: a person with that trait, or emotionally immature person, will mostly likely struggle very, very, very deeply with boundaries. Very deeply with boundaries. And why is that? Because boundaries are a threat to control, right? So they can't have control with boundaries. So a healthy person might not always like every boundary, right? But they will respect it, right? An unhealthy person will be shaming you for your boundaries that you're trying to acquire, right? Which is not something you should acquire. It's the right of us all. We all have our own boundaries. We all are our own individuals. They're gonna call you difficult. They will say that you're being dramatic, or they're gonna say you're too paranoid. Then they might tell you how selfish you are. But that reaction is telling you something really important. Right? So when the relationship starts to get serious, you have to be really honest about what you will and won't tolerate. Forsaking God, hello. Yeah, projecting 100%. Yeah. So once the relationship starts getting serious, you have to be very honest about what you will and won't tolerate. And that's something that it's important to talk about, once you decide to have a relationship with somebody. And for example, you have to be able to tell this person that you won't do yelling, that you won't do name calling, or you're not going to accept being pressured in any way. And if something hurts me, I need to be able to talk about it, because sometimes you walk in eggshells, right? And then you feel like you can't even tell that person how you're feeling, or even to stand up for your boundaries. So the right person will respect all of that, and the wrong person will be offended by it. Okay, and that will show us the second red flag here. Okay, a lot of people aren't good with communication. Some will take it as a personal attack when it's not. Exactly. Talk like adults. 100%. We are all individuals. Okay, so the red flag that it shows now, it's a huge ego and need for admiration. Okay, now this is not the same thing as confidence. Confidence is grounded. Okay, confidence doesn't need to crush anyone. It doesn't need you to be completely reminded that you good or whatever. Confidence can listen, it can apologize, and it can be wrong and still be okay. That's confidence. But an inflated ego needs to be above all people, and needs more attention, more validation, and needs to feel superior, right? So these people tend to dominate conversations with their patterns, right? So they bring everything back to themselves and exaggerate their achievements, okay? They quietly or openly put other people down, and it's very subtle, okay? They act like they are more important, more special, more deserving, more intelligent than anyone around them, okay? And if they see themselves as superior, then someone else has to be inferior. And that one is usually you. So that's why speaking around them starts to feel dangerous, okay? You start to sense that your opinion only matters if it agrees with theirs. Okay, it's like if it's believing that you're more intelligent than everyone else about the thing. I don't know. I think so. I mean, that's kind of arrogant. So you start to sense that your opinion only matters if it agrees with theirs, right? It's like all disagreement will be punished. You start walking on eggshells constantly, right? And one of the biggest clues is how they talk about other people. It's important to remember this too, or how they talk about people, right? So the way they talk about someone today is probably how they're going to talk about you one day, right? That's accountability. That's why accountability is really important. So people with this trait struggle to take responsibility because admitting fault is a threat to their identity that they have built, in this grandiosity. So even if they apologize, it doesn't really sound like a real apology because it could be something like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry you can't take a joke. I'm sorry, okay? And that's not repair, that's dismissal, right? And if you ever give them feedback, even gently, pay really close attention to what happens next, okay? Do they reflect? Do they listen? Do they care about how you feel? Or do they rage, attack, or do they shut down completely and ignore you and just stop talking to you? Or somehow it's your fault for bringing it up, right? Because that reflection tells you how that kind of relationship is going to be, okay? And I'm gonna have a cup of coffee here. Just grab my coffee. And so another red flag, getting there, coffee. Another big red flag is the lack of empathy, right? And this is a big one. I'm sorry, you can take a joke. The joke being means as if like, okay, hola Max. So the lack of empathy is really big. What if they're a sociopath? We're gonna talk about this at some point, okay? Because that's a big one, and there's like three different things. So there's the narcissistic, and this is not like I said before, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm nothing like that. I just did a lot of research from psychiatrists because I wanted to understand more the traumas that I've been through with relationships and all that. So there's the narcissistic person, there's the sociopath, and the psychopath, right? They have things in common, but they're completely different, and that's one thing they were trying to separate all of them, okay? Yeah, doggo arrived. So empathy is one of the most important qualities a person can have in a relationship, right? Because empathy is what allows someone to step outside of themselves and try to understand someone's experience and look through their eyes. It's like, I'm sorry, you're putting yourself in their shoes. It's like, oh my gosh, I wonder what it would be like to be in that situation. And then you're like, oh my gosh, no, that would feel horrible. That's empathy, right? Empathy is what allows someone to step outside of themselves to try to understand someone's experience and look through their eyes. Olá, mama. Bem-vinda, mama. Olá. So without empathy, there is no emotional safety. There isn't, okay? There could be chemistry. Sorry. When you feel that chemistry, oh my gosh, we have such good chemistry together. There could be attraction, and it could be really fun and maybe like super exciting, right? But there would not be any sort of depth or true intimacy, and there would not be a healthy way through conflict ever. There is just no healthy conflict resolution, okay? Maybe they can imitate empathy when it benefits them, okay? They could say the right words at times and pretend to be concerned when they need to keep you attached, okay? But when it really matters, when you're hurt, when you're vulnerable, when you need tenderness, accountability, or understanding, they would not be there for you, okay? Your pain annoys them so much, and then your feelings is a real inconvenience to them, right? And all of your needs really frustrate them a lot. And I really want to say this really super clearly, okay? Do not build your life around someone who shows no real capacity for empathy, because empathy is connected to so many things a relationship needs in order to survive. Okay, without empathy, relationships become super shallow. Okay, and that's part of why they can often discard others so quickly and move on to somebody else. Okay, because the attachment was never fixed in deep mutual care, it was fixed in use. Okay, and okay, so I don't know if you can relate to this. Anybody can relate. I'm going through this kind of quick here. Another another Caterpie. Hope you're having a wonderful day and feeling better. I'm feeling good. I'm halfway done my all my antibiotics, and I'm having coffee even though I'm not supposed to. Really, I'm not really supposed to have coffee, but I'm having a little bit of coffee today. Very watered down coffee, almost like tea coffee. Okay. Um, Thank you for being here, Kat. Another big red flag, okay, is self-centeredness. Okay, so now self-centeredness may like seem obvious, but it can cause more damage than people realize. Okay, because relationships, they need some sort of compromise. Okay, they require a certain level of care. They require both people making room for each other. But a self-centered person is mostly focused on what they want, what they need, what works for them, and what benefits them, right? Right? So, and if you always find yourself adjusting and you're like over giving and over explaining, over accommodating, that is a sign that something is very off, and it's important for you to acknowledge those. These people often expect a lot from you while giving you very little in return. Okay, so they want all of your attention, your loyalty, your emotional labor, your patience, all your flexibility. You can be the most flexible person and they don't show any flexibility, and they want your admiration. They always think about relationship changes as I age. Same here, Grandmaster Strong, 100%. And it just changed, of course. That's why I'm single still. You know, to me, for me to invest myself again, it has to be something that is extremely respectful. Extremely, yes. And we have to be on the same wavelength, big time. And eat a kilo of salt together, get to know each other really, really well. So if you ask for the most basic consideration, okay, out of the sudden you're asking too much, right? That's just basic stuff. You're asking for the basic, right? Even though you deserve more than just the basic. Trying to be realistic with yourself, good. Exactly. They will also put down others close to you to make them look better. 100%, Hoss. Yeah, that can happen too, very much. So like I said, like, and there was a quote that I can't remember. Just because I don't require much doesn't mean I deserve the bare minimum. And that hits you, right? Because that's very, very true, right? Because, and be okay with myself, 100% be okay with yourself, and be okay with yourself and the parts of yourself that you don't really, that you're not proud of, because none of us are perfect. We all have been through things, and we all have done things we're not proud of from day to day. Exactly. And it's important to be okay with all of that and see, you know, what you've done that you're not proud of and work from that, you know. So yes. So the really painful truth about self-centered people it pairs really well with selfless people, right? There's the self-centered and then the selfless person, right? The giver and the taker, the over-functioning and the entitled one, the fixer and the user. So if you're someone who is always putting your needs last, who keeps the peace, who feels guilty while speaking up, or who tries to understand, to be understood at all costs, you have to be super careful, right? So there was a time not long ago when I yearned that young version of myself kind of love. Oh, but that changed. Yes, for sure. I think let me see how I'm gonna word this, because there's I'm gonna try to word this the way I want to actually mean it. As tides change, I'm being complacent, or am I accepting myself? It's important to see that. 100%. Yeah, we change while we age, and the like love becomes different. That romantic love that we have when we're young, it feels good, right? It feels really good. And now it's more like what word? There's a word that I'm looking for and I can't find. It's not rational. It's not. It's like something realistic. Something. It becomes different, right? So yeah. So we have to be really careful, okay, when that happens, because our kindness can become one of those things that keep you stuck when we're too kind, right? And so wanting someone to be thoughtful is not asking for too much. It's really not. Um, Wanting a little emotional consistency is not asking for too much, because consistency is important in any relationship. And wanting appreciation, honesty, or respect, or care, it's not too much. It's the bare minimum, right? And it's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. And so we have to be careful thinking that your love can heal somebody, because it can't, okay? Um, because love can't heal someone. It's not essential. Also, it don't need to be romantic. I love. It's nice. It's nice for sure. It's not essential in my life. Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah, it's nice, no, but you can always bring romance into things, once that, you're with that person and you guys are comfortable together and you have that relationship of respect. You can always bring that romantic side into it. And that kind of love is so out of my control. Hmm. Yeah, it is out of control. Okay, I'm trying to piece things together. Yeah, it is out of control. Yeah, because you act a lot with your feelings and instincts. You don't act from a rational perspective, right? It's like depends on what cards are dealt by the universe. Yes, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah. So again, we got to be careful thinking that your love can heal somebody who does not think they have a problem. Okay? Because that hope has trapped a ton of people, including myself. And there's a ton of people that are trapped in that cycle, thinking that they can. And we were talking about that a little earlier, right? And about that we're not responsible to fixing anybody, but sometimes we think we can. And we can't. So another red flag is toxic communication, okay? So how someone speaks to you really matters, okay? It matters so much. Do they yell? Do they demean you? Do they belittle you? Are they mocking your feelings? Are they using silence as a way to punish you? That's a big one, the silence treatment. Oh my gosh, that is a big one, actually. I was dealt with that at a very young age, the silence treatment, when I did something that wasn't good. That doesn't feel good. But I also dealt with that in loving relationship. Okay, they don't get what they want and they give you the silence treatment. Okay, so none of that is normal. None of it. It may be common. It may be common for sure, but it's not healthy and it's not safe and it's definitely not love. One of the most confusing parts of these relationships is that they often know exactly how to provoke you. They know your insecurities. They know how to push your buttons, okay? And they know all your past traumas because you've shared with them. And they keep pushing and pushing and pressing until eventually you're going to explode. And that's natural, right? And once you explode, then that becomes the whole story, okay? Because now you're the unstable one, you're the crazy one, and then you're the toxic one. And that's why so many people in these types of relationships start asking, am I the narcissist? And that's typical. That happens a lot, because you start like that roles got reversed. And then you're the bad guy. Exactly, anti-bubbles, right? But usually what's happening is that your whole system has been pushed to the complete limits. So it's past limits. It's like, whew, gone, okay? And that doesn't make reaction okay. We still have to take accountability for all of our behaviors. But reactive behavior is in the context of repeated emotional abuse does not mean you're the abuser. Okay? For a bit, I did ask myself that. Right? It's dark, and then you get in that loop in your head. And that's why when I left my relationship, I started doubting myself. That's the first thing that comes, okay? Because I was in a okay. I was in a really good situation when it comes to comfort. I bought a house. I invested my money on it, and it was big. And it was, but the stability wasn't there with the relationship. It was very toxic, and not just verbally toxic. It got physical eventually, and that's when things really hit me hard. Like so, and then you're like, gotta get out, you know. So and but then you start questioning yourself because of that whole world. It's like almost like an alternate reality. It's not natural. Like we're not supposed to live in that fight or flight constantly, with someone constantly trying to convince you that you're not good enough, trying to constantly convince you that you're a problem, right? That you're crazy and things like that. It's very unhealthy, and that's why, you know, we end up asking ourselves that, am I the bad guy? What's happening here, right? So, it's important to um, take some time with yourself. And the healing part is actually really hard. It's very hard. It can be very dark. Okay, I had to really look into myself and who I am. Then it was like, oh, I'm losing some. Okay, hold on. I messed up my chat. There you go. I had to really look into myself and who I am. Then was like, no, it wasn't me. I reacted in the situation where my buttons were pushed. Now I'm learning not to let myself be in those situations from the start. So important. And sometimes even when you've been through it, it can sneak up on you. It's incredible how that works, eh? After everything ended, I was told I was a narcissist, not just by my asks. I took a it took a lot to not believe it. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Dave. Yes, and I'm sorry, Angie. But you can really grow out of this if you don't fall into the victim mentality. You know, if you don't turn yourself into a victim, and instead you just learn to grow from it. Hello, Gargamel. Gargamel Knight. Hello, Gargamel Knight. Is Gargamel the... Oh, it is. Oh my gosh. It is Gargamel. That Gargamel. Oh my goodness, I love it. How are you doing? My ex-husband went around saying I was the one that was unfaithful and everything. He was blamed. So, hold on. I'm sorry. That I was the one that was unfaithful, and everything he was blamed for was put on me, even though I was the harmed party. And you know, that's what they do to... They accuse you of exactly what they're doing, and that's important to see as well. I need another... Hi from Queensland, Australia. Welcome in from Australia. I'm in Canada. Welcome in. I hope the weather there is really nice right now. I'm gonna keep my coffee here. Okay, so welcome in, love roses. I'm sorry that happened. I'm glad you're no longer in that relationship. Sending you hugsies, for sure. Yeah, it is. A lot of people, they don't leave. Like I said, I was in a very comfortable place, and I knew I was on the other side of the country. So I'm right now in the Pacific, and I was on the Atlantic coast, on the other complete side of the country. But this was home for me. We moved, and that was a way that he isolated me as well, because I didn't know anyone there. I knew everybody here, and isolating myself was a way for him to gain control over me too, right? He isolated myself. I knew no one. I had no one to reach out to protect me, you know, or to help me realize that things weren't okay. And that's another sign, right? Starting to cool down, thankfully. It's been an extremely hot summer. Ooh, hugs back. Yeah, I got away, but took years. It does take years. It does take years, for sure. It's been 6 years, and I'm still learning and still making some mistakes here and there, you know? So, yeah. Like I said, so reactive behaviors in the context of repeated emotional abuse does not mean you're the abuser. Even if you react to things, like, you need to control your feelings, and you control your reactions, but it doesn't mean that you're the abuser. It often means that your body is screaming that your heart is still struggling to admit. Okay. Again, it often means your body is screaming what your heart is still struggling to admit. that it's not safe. And sometimes the healing journey starts when you stop asking, how do I finally get them to understand me, right? And start asking, why am I still why am I still trying to be understood by someone who doesn't care about me? And sometimes it's hard to believe you deserve better. It is. Because if you grew up feeling criticized, neglect, or not good enough, then parts of your healing is not just learning how to spot what's unhealthy, it's learning how to believe that your heart is worth protecting. And that's a big one, right? We need to protect our heart. We need to protect our energy, right? And so the next part is the healing part, which can be very, very hard. Lovely, Chev. Excuse me. Oh, she's live. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I keep apologizing. It's because, yeah, anyways, it's fine. So, we have an extreme amount of 50 degrees Celsius. Holy moly, that is hot. That is hot. I've only experienced that once, and it was really uncomfortable, 100%. So, the next step is the healing journey, and it can be very dark. Yes, we do. Caterpie, I didn't know you're Canadian. Are you Canadian, Caterpie? I'm gonna send a beautiful Canada heart. I don't have an Aussie heart, but I do have a Canada heart. I'll share with everybody the Canadian heart. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm in the Pacific Coast. I'm in Vancouver Island. I met, Dave and I met a couple of times. I drove 14 hours to see him. I mean, I was gonna, I was going to Saskatchewan, so I stopped by on the way to Saskatchewan to visit a friend in Saskatchewan, and then he came and visit me back a few months later, and he's planning a visit again. We're gonna visit again. We're good friends. Yeah, so we're going to be moving on to the healing part because it can be pretty dark, like I said, like anti-bubble C2. It sounds so hard to and good to see you thriving and moving forward. It is good, and the good thing is this, okay? If you don't fall into the victimization mentality, and you really try to learn from the experience and grow from it, just learn that it was not your fault, and it's okay to have doubts. It's totally okay. It's healthy. It makes you study more and research more about yourself and learn more about yourself. And so Dave is lovely for sure. You're biased, so am I. Yeah. So as long as you don't fall into the victimization, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for a while. For me, it was really, it sucked even more because I have started my life over and over again. But when I restarted my life from that one relationship, I invested my whole life in Canada savings into that, and that all got taken away because I left and there was court stuff. And so I restarted again, but I restarted again as a single parent, which is it was difficult, but we're growing. I'm growing, and it's a growth process. You're learning every day, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle. But then we'll always find our way. It's true. We'll always find our way because everything always works out for me. Okay, so it's so hard trying to defend myself in that situation, telling myself just keep being you and keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Yes, last week's yes. We do always find our ways. It's just never give up. Yeah, never give up. So I'm going to play a video about the 7 signs you're healing from a trauma, even if it doesn't feel like it. Okay? So, and it can be any trauma. It's a broad little video. And so I hope that you enjoy it. Let me just get things ready here. Again, I would like to thank my mods a lot for helping, with the chat and everything. And thank you everybody for being here today. You are what makes it possible, because every time I have these talks, and I feel more inspiration when I know that I'm helping even just one person. Any help that I know it's going somewhere, it just makes me want to do it more. Okay? So, yeah.
When life deals us hardship after hardship, it can sometimes feel like all that remains are scars and burdens that other people may never see or ever understand. In a previous video, we talked about the traits people often develop after suffering deeply. Things like hyperindependence, guarded hearts, and the need for solitude. Many of you shared in the comments that you recognized those patterns in your own lives, but something else often happens after pain. Slowly, quietly, people begin to heal. The difficult part is that healing doesn't always look the way we expect. Usually it doesn't. It's rarely dramatic. It doesn't follow a straight path. In fact, one of the most important things to understand is that, I'm sure you heard it before, healing is not linear. Some days feel strong and hopeful, and other days, old emotions will resurface. But those moments don't erase your progress. It's often 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And sometimes healing shows up in small changes that you may not even notice yet. So here are 7 signs you might already be healing. 1, you start setting healthier boundaries. People who have endured a lot of emotional hardship often become very attuned to the needs of others. Sometimes this develops into what trauma therapists describe as appeasement or fawning behaviors, where someone tries to keep everyone happy in order to avoid conflict or emotional harm. Over time, this can look like chronic people-pleasing. But healing often begins when something shifts. You start realizing that constantly carrying everyone else's emotional weight is leaving you exhausted, and slowly you begin learning something new: boundaries. But boundaries aren't just about saying no to everything. They're also about learning what deserves your yes. For example, you might say no to answering work messages late at night when you're already drained. But you might say yes to taking an evening to recharge yourself, going for a walk, reading a book, or spending time with someone who genuinely respects your energy. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They're guidelines that help protect your emotional well-being while still allowing healthy connection. And learning to set them is often one of the earliest signs of healing. 2, you allow yourself to rest without guilt. When someone has lived in survival mode for a long time, their nervous system can become used to constant alertness. There's always something to fix, something to anticipate, something to worry about. And because of that, resting can feel uncomfortable at first. You might even feel guilty when things are quiet. But healing slowly changes your relationship with rest. You begin to realize that rest is necessary for recovery. Maybe there was a time when you felt guilty spending an entire afternoon doing nothing productive, but now you allow yourself small pauses. You sit up with a cup of tea. You listen to music. You watch the rain outside your window. And instead of feeling anxious about what you should be doing, you begin to recognize that your body and mind deserve moments of peace. These little pauses may seem small, but they are powerful signs that your nervous system is slowly learning that it is safe to relax again. 3, you start trusting your inner voice again. Trauma can make people doubt their own judgment. After experiencing betrayal, manipulation, or emotional harm, many people begin to question themselves. You might wonder, how didn't I see the signs sooner? Why did I trust them? But healing slowly rebuilds that sense of inner trust. And little by little, you begin noticing that voice inside you again. The one that tells you when something feels right and when something doesn't. Like, imagine meeting someone new. In the past, you might have ignored certain red flags because you didn't want to seem overly cautious, but now you pause and you listen to that feeling. Instead of brushing it aside, you allow yourself to step back and just observe. Relearning to trust your instincts is a powerful step towards emotional safety. 4, small moments begin to feel meaningful again. When someone has gone through prolonged emotional pain, it can sometimes dull their ability to feel joy. Everything can feel distant or heavy, but healing often brings back something really beautiful, yet subtle. An appreciation for small moments. Like you might notice the warmth of sunlight through a window, or the quiet comfort of sitting with someone who just gets you, or the satisfaction of completing a little task that once felt overwhelming. Like maybe there was a time when even getting out of bed felt incredibly difficult, and then one day you found yourself cooking a meal and cleaning your space, or just going outside for some fresh air, and you realize that those little acts are signs of movement. They may seem ordinary to others, but for someone who has carried deep pain, they can feel really meaningful, because they are. 5, you begin asking for help. Hyper-independence is one of the most common responses to emotional pain. If you've been hurt or let down before, depending on others can feel risky. So many people learn to rely only on themselves. But healing often involves rediscovering something very important. You don't have to carry everything alone. For example, maybe you once kept every struggle to yourself because you didn't want to burden anyone. But now, you allow yourself to share small pieces of what you're going through with someone you trust. And when they listen without judgment, you realize connection doesn't always lead to pain. Sometimes it leads to support. 6, you stop blaming yourself for everything. When people experience trauma, they sometimes develop a habit of internalizing blame. Even when something wasn't their fault, their mind searches for ways they could have prevented it. Healing slowly changes that perspective. You start to recognize that some things were never yours to carry. And instead of thinking, if I had just tried harder, maybe things would have been different, you begin realizing that some situations were outside of your control. And this shift in perspective allows compassion to enter the way that you see yourself. And that compassion is a powerful part of healing. And 7, you begin seeing your pain as part of your story, but not your identity. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it changes the way you understand it. Instead of seeing painful experiences as something that permanently defines you, you begin to see them as chapters in a much larger story. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as post-traumatic growth, the process of finding deeper meaning, strength, or understanding after adversity. For example, someone who struggled through years of hardship might one day find themselves helping others navigate similar challenges. Their pain became a source of empathy and wisdom. It doesn't mean that their suffering was good, but growth can emerge even from difficult experiences. At Psych2Go, our mission has always been simple: to help people better understand themselves, their emotions, and the complex ways our minds respond to life. Because when we understand our experiences, especially the painful ones, we gain the power to grow from them. And if you or someone you care about is going through a difficult time, we recently created a space called psych2go.shop, where you can find small reminders designed around messages like, healing is not linear. Some people keep them for themselves, others give them to friends going through breakups, grief, or major life transitions. Sometimes a simple reminder can make a difficult day feel a little lighter. Everyone's journey is different, so keep in mind that even if you don't notice all the signs, you're still a work in progress. You will get there, eventually. And maybe you'll never be the version of yourself you had hoped to be, and that's okay, because maybe you were meant to be someone even better. We can't change our past. We can, however, build a new future. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, take care.
The moment you set a boundary, you find out who was
Oops, there we go. How did you guys like that? This video shouldn't make me as uncomfortable as I did. Oh. Wow. What can you share with me, please? What made you uncomfortable? I would love to know. If you want to, of course. It's important to kind of acknowledge those things. I'm not doing most of those things. Oh, yeah. I know a lot of us don't. It's important to take time and try to take care of yourself in, whatever way you can, even if it's just, and that's mostly for, let me fix my posture here. If you're used to doing that stuff, like Lord Abrachos, have a ton of laundry to put away, so I'm lurking, but wanted to make sure. So thank you. I appreciate it, Lord. Thank you for coming by. Yeah. I tend to not do those things too. Yeah, for sure. And I keep forgetting to put my secret Cosmic Garden song. It might be a bit too loud. I'm going to turn it down a tad. Here we go. Hope everyone's doing well today. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate you. Hope everyone's... Yes, for sure. So, I thought of doing something different today. And you guys tell me what you think. There's another thing that also I want to close today's stream, but I wanted to do something differently, which is I would like to finish the stream with a little meditation, not long, just a little meditation and a little grounding meditation. So, and the other thing is work got me on the last video. I would definitely go back and rewatch. Yes, I will. Yeah, that's okay. I am going to post it on the mental health section of the Discord server every time I post it in there after. And the other thing is, I don't know if everybody's listening, but I can post this on the server too, because I was thinking of changing the time that I do my mental health Mondays, because I feel like a lot of people are at work when I'm doing this, and I feel maybe I could do it a little bit later. I'm so happy. That's good. I'm glad you see them. That's awesome. Good to know. I'm glad I started doing this. Yeah, I was trying to I was thinking of changing mental health Mondays for a little bit later in the day. And also maybe like at 4 o'clock my time, 4, 5, 6, 7, and at like 7 o'clock EST. I was thinking of switching to that time. And the other thing I was thinking of doing as well is I was thinking of eventually, whenever I don't have a guest, so next week I have a guest and I'm going to have guests once a month. I was thinking of putting a poll for subjects that we can talk about here on the server. I could put a poll on different topics and they can be voted on, so that I can work on those topics. So I was thinking every Monday I could post a little poll on the topic for next week, and everyone could vote it on, so I had the week to prepare for it. Yeah, I think it would be fun. Unless like next week I'm having Barbara coming in to talk about gut health and mental health relation. And in that case, we already have that going on. But I'm going to post a poll for different topics we can talk about. So do you think that ending the stream with a little meditation will be beneficial? Just a little something to ground us so we can have a good week? Just to end this, it was a little bit of a heavy conversation, and it can trigger a lot of us. And I'm going to be super honest with you. I had a lot more written and a lot more detailed things, but I decided to shorten it. I kept the big one for later so I can work on that. But, I was having some triggers from just talking about it, and some of the stuff I was writing down. They are important. Absolutely. Yes. And like Sassy said, for reflection, for sure. So, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my camera away. And allergies. So, yeah. So I want us to focus a little bit on our breathing right now, and take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Let your shoulders relax and your body settle a little bit. Try to unlock your jaws. Make sure your tongue is relaxed and your jaw is relaxed. And just be here for a moment. And let's take another breath in and out. You can close your eyes if you want to. You can be sitting, or you can find a place to lie down, but if you're at work, that's probably not possible. But let's gently bring your awareness inward. Just as you sit here, I want you to repeat this to yourself. I am choosing peace. Not because everything around me is perfect, but because I'm learning. I'm learning to protect what feels inside. Breathe in. I am choosing myself. I'm releasing the need to stay in situations that drain my energy. Situations that make me question my worth, that leave me feeling heavy. Breathe in. Breathe out. I am allowed to let go. Let go of the need to fix everything. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Let go of the weight of what was never mine to carry. I am choosing growth, even when it feels uncomfortable, even if it means outgrowing what once felt familiar. I trust that I am evolving into something healthier, something calmer, something more aligned with who I truly am. Release the past. Release the patterns that keep hurting you. Release the version of you that stayed too long. You did the best you could with what you knew, and now you know more. So now you choose differently. I honor my peace. My peace is not selfish. My boundaries are not wrong. My need for calm, for safety, for clarity is valid. I am allowed to walk away from anything that costs me my well-being. And I do it with love, not just for others, but for myself. Let's gently remind ourselves that I deserve peace. I deserve calm. I deserve to feel safe in my own life. Stay here for a moment, just breathing, just being. And when you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back. Be aware of your breath as you bring your awareness back. Wow, guys, I hope that you were able to take something from today. And I'm not quite sure to who to raid today to keep that kind of vibes. If you guys have any suggestion, you can shoot down on text on the chat. Aw, you didn't. Aw, was it a good cry though, Dave? Oh, is he still there? Oh, the Roy Joy is still on? I just did that at my desk and that was honestly so needed. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, he's not live anymore. Yeah, he rated out. I'm so happy that you could take something from this. This is great. So I know that this might not be on the same vibes. Oh, thank you for being here, Chill Guy Rich. I appreciate it. But I like to be giving and I like to help people. And right now, I don't know if you guys know Decap FPS. He is on day 7 of his partner push and he's really close. He's he's doing really good. So I was thinking of maybe just showing him a little support. It's also good for networking, and if you don't know him yet, it's good to network. It's a completely different community. So yes, show him some support. He's on day 7 of partner push. He's a very kind person, and yeah, he's hyper for sure with the G Fuel, 100% for sure he is. And so yes, I know we ended pretty slow, but then we can just come back up and wake up for the rest of the day, right? Oh, I'm so happy you needed this, Dave, and that you got something good. I'm really happy. This is good. It makes it all worthwhile. I'm very happy that you're all here and that you could take something from it. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much. So let me just find him, and I'm gonna get the raid ready. So I'm happy you liked it, Tessie. It's something I'm really passionate about. So yeah, thank you, Flawless, for thanking everybody. 100%. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it, Flawless. Again, thank you everybody for being here, and I'm glad that you were able to take something out of it. And I think that every week I would like to end with a meditation. Another thing is next week I have my affiliate anniversary on Monday, and I will be doing a longer mental health Monday with Barbara and some other stuff, but we're also gonna play some games, so it's gonna be a longer stream. So I will read out, but super quiet. I just got a phone call. Yeah, no, that's okay, no problem. Thank you. Have a lovely the rest of the week, Sushi and Chat. Have a lovely week, Chill Guy Rich. Thank you so much again for being here. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you. So yeah, it will be a little bit of a celebration, not a sabaton, nothing like that, just a celebration and a community event that we can all play together to celebrate 1-year anniversary. Yes, it's been almost a year now. I mean, pretty much a year. So I'm excited for that. That'll be great. It is exciting. I know. If you don't know Decap FPS, please show him some support. He's on day 7 of his partner push, and again, good person to connect with. Super, really kind human being. In the meantime, stay grounded, protect your peace, and don't forget to be who you are. Until next time, Sushi out.